Hi, this is the lecture for Thursday, October 24th, when I will not be in class. This lecture is to look at Chapter 10, specifically at friendship relationships. You can find this PowerPoint also available on Blackboard if you want to refer back to it after you watch the lecture. So these friendship relationships are important to all of us, and for you specifically, if you are having a conversation with a friend for your interpersonal project, you might find this information important for writing your paper. So we're going to be looking specifically at these different friendship characteristics, and this is what you are going to be using for your assignment that is due for class for the Thursday, October 24th. So when we are looking at friendship relationships and communication, this is from Chapter 10, Section 1, and this is the different characteristics that friendships often have. The first is that friendships are voluntary. You can't choose your family, but you get to choose your friends. We have free will to choose who we want to engage in friendships with. We each have reasons for the friendships that we engage in. So I want you right now to think about the different friendships that you have and why you choose to engage in them. For me, I have all different types of friendships that I engage in. So I have my mom friends, so people that I'm friends with essentially just because we have both gone through the act of having children. I have friends through the curling club that I curled with when I participated in curling a few years ago, and we still remain friends. I have hockey parent friends, so I spend a lot of time at the rink with my kids, and I have friends from there. Graduate school friends, so friends that I made while in graduate school. We choose to end friendships when they are no longer healthy or serve a specific purpose in our lives. So for instance, now that I'm done with graduate school, many of the friends that I had have moved to different areas of the country, so I no longer interact with them. When my kids change teams at the end of the season, my friend groups will change because there will be different parents that are there. Some of those relationships hold on, but many of them change because of circumstance. The second one is that friendships are personal relationships that are negotiated between two individuals. In other words, we create our friendships with individuals and we negotiate what those relationships look like with that other individual. We are not necessarily making friends with an entire group of people. So for instance, if I decide to be friends with someone who really enjoys snow machining, it doesn't mean that every person who snow machines will be my friend. Rather, this is a unique individual who I chose to be friends with. Hence, these are not group relationships. These are individualized personal relationships that we establish with another person. The third one, friendships have a spirit of equality. The next characteristic of friendship is all about being equal. Although friendships may develop between individuals of different status, ability, attractiveness, or age, some facets of the relationship functions as a leveler. Friends tend to emphasize the personal attributes and styles of interaction that make them appear more or less equal to each other. Now, it's important to note that we're not always talking about a 50-50 split in everything that makes a friendship equal. Friendships ebb and flow over time as the desires, needs, and interests change. For example, it's perfectly possible for two people from very different social classes to be friends. In this case, the different social classes may put people at an imbalance when it comes to financial means, but this doesn't mean that the two cannot still have a sense of equality within the relationship. Here are some ways to ensure that friendships maintain a spirit of equality. And you can see that there are several there that are listed on the screen. These are all ways that people may equalize their friendship to ensure that they feel equal within the relationship. So as an example, maybe something about both friends demonstrate effort and work in the relationship. So maybe one friend will decide what they want to do for an activity, and the next time the other person will choose. So it's more of an equal thing rather than one person making all the decisions within the relationship. So when we're talking about equality, that doesn't necessarily mean just one facet of the relationship, but each individual relationship will decide how to create that equality. The next one is about friendships having mutual involvement. So this doesn't necessarily mean that every day or week the friends are involved with one another. Many people establish long-term relationships with people who they don't engage with frequently. For example, my best friend since 6th grade, her name is Vicky. We were inseparable through middle school and high school. However, I moved away from home at 18. Our visits went to only seeing each other on holiday breaks during college, and now we see each other less than once a year. However, that periodic catch-up is enough to keep our friendship healthy and thriving. This can be very different between friendships and the need of each individual. I have friends here that we see each other on a weekly basis, and we make sure that we get to see each other because that is needed in order to maintain the relationship. And this is one of the reasons that the idea of friendship can be so difficult to define, because each individual relationship needs something different, even between different relationships. So my relationship with Vicky needs something different than my friendship with my friend Stacy, who lives here in town. The final characteristic of friendships is the notion of affect. Affect refers to any experience of feeling or emotion ranging from suffering to elation, from the simplest to the most complex sensations of feeling, and from the most normal to the most pathological emotional reactions. Often described in terms of positive affect or negative affect, both mood and emotion are considered affective states. Built into the voluntariness, personal, equal, and mutually involved nature of friendships is the inherent caring and concern that we establish within those friendships, the affective aspects. Some friends will go as far as to say that they love each other, but not in the romantic sense, but rather in the affectionate sense. All friendships are going to have some sort of affective component, but not all friendships will exhibit or express affect in the same ways. Some friendships may exhibit no physical interaction at all, but this doesn't mean that they are not intimate emotionally, intellectually, or spiritually. Again, this will vary between friendships and who the person is and what they need from the other person. So I am a very physical and loving person when it comes to sharing my emotions with others. And so I often give hugs to my friends and tell them how much they mean to me. But I have friends that don't like that physical contact, so I'm aware of what they need from the relationship. So I want you to be thinking about how this relates to what we talked about last time with communication apprehension and communication competence, and how this relates to your own friendships that you may have. So your activity for today is to complete, let me see if I can find it here. Where did it go? So your assignment is to go through each of these. So I want you to think about one of your current or past relationships and examine that friendship using Rollins' 5 characteristics of friendship. So this is what we just went over that I talked about and gave you examples for each of these. So you can give a similar example for these based on your own life. So you don't have to use the same relationship for each of these. You can use a different friendship and talk about how it applies to this. If you don't feel comfortable using one of your own friendships, you can think about others that you've seen either in your own life or on television or in a movie or read about in a book. So that is how you can complete that. The second page has just a couple of questions that you can answer for me, please, for this assignment. And this will count as your participation points. Now, this is a PDF document, so you won't be able to write on here like with the Google Docs. So you can either print it out and handwrite it. I will accept that for this assignment. Or you can just create your own document and type in these headings and fill it out yourself. The other thing that I want to point out to you is that chapter 11's reading assignment, which is due on Tuesday, has this life cycle thing that I would like you to complete. And this is your only assignment for the homework. So this is relating to chapter 11, and I think it is section 2. So it's referring to this area. And so these are the stages that families go through, and it talks about what each of the stages means. So what I would like you to do is to think about your own family, or you can choose a famous family that people might know about either real or from a book or a movie. And I want you to talk about how that family fits into each of these 8 areas of the life cycle. So I've given you an example with the first 3, but when you do this yourself, I would like you to fill out as many of the 11 as possible. So this is going through someone's entire life. You'll notice that the last one is a solitary survivor. So that means that one person in the couple has passed away. And so that means that you probably need to choose an older family to do this about. So my example is about my grandparents, and I would be able to go through each of the 11 stages using them. Now, this can get a little messy, so it may not work to do all 11 stages for the family that you choose, and that is not the end of the world, but I don't want you to choose a young couple because it would be impossible to go through all the stages. In the past, students have chosen famous families like the Kardashians or the Kennedys to complete this assignment. Now, this can be very problematic when you think about how families are structured. So when you are done with completing that part of the assignment, I do want you to answer these questions about what critiques you have and what might not work about this system. And the book actually includes its own critiques if you want to read through those as well. All right, so the other thing is that I do have some examples of the interpersonal papers that I would like to show you where those are. So on Blackboard, if you go under Course Content, Materials for Interpersonal Communication, and scroll down, you'll find 2 examples of interpersonal papers. So this is a good place to look if you want to see what others have written in the past. And these are both good examples of what your paper could potentially look like. So if you're struggling with what to write or how to write your interpersonal paper, this could help you with that. So just a reminder that you do need to have a rough draft of your paper ready to go next Thursday, October 31st on Halloween, and we'll do some peer editing in class. If you have not completed your conversation yet, I encourage you to get that done over the weekend so that you can start writing your paper. If you have made it to this point in the lecture, at the end of your assignment, so remember you're completing this part of the friendship relationship handout. If you made it to this part of the lecture, at the end of that, just add in another section that says what you plan to do over the weekend, and I will give you 5 points extra credit. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday.